I can't wait to tell you what's going on today. I don't know. Maybe it's just a change in attitude where today's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to start with some good news. We have now a U.S. Senate candidate for the GOP in Ohio. The reason why this makes me feel so good inside is because I know that Mitch McConnell hates this guy, which is kind of a badge of honor. That alone is enough for me to go, wait a minute, what's his name? And he is also, from many of my conservative friends, say he is the most conservative candidate and the one that they want in Washington. Gosh darn it, you know who doesn't want him? Yeah, Mitch McConnell. Ohio, good job. We have Bernie Moreno on with us in 60 seconds. U.S. Senate candidate for the GOP. He won the primary last night in Ohio. Bernie Moreno. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Glenn. Thank you for having me. It was a pretty resounding victory. Let me give you some quick numbers. Three-way race, almost 51% of the vote, almost 18-point margin, and we won all 88 counties. Every single county we won.
Holy cow. That is great. Now, the Democrats, I love your enemies. First of all, the Democrats spent about $3 million on ads against you. Then you have Mitch McConnell, who I know for a fact hates your ever-living guts. Both of those things speak highly of you.
Well, the Democrats put an ad out there tying me to President Trump as if that was some sort of negative. The reality is I wear my support of and for President Trump with a badge of honor. What will be interesting is to see if Sherrod Brown will wear with a badge of honor his 99% voting record with Joe Biden, or whether he'll hide like a scared cat whenever Biden shows up in Ohio.
Right. I mean, they always try to paint Donald Trump as an extremist. I didn't see anything extreme that he did. I was not a fan of Donald Trump the first time around because I thought he would be a little, unhinged and most likely lean towards liberal. I was wrong on that, admitted that. And you look at his policies and you look at the history of what we went through, it was pretty good. And not extreme. But you look at Biden and it's nut job central.
It is absolutely out of control. I mean, this is basically a conversation between people who love America and believe in common sense and people who hate this country and are completely out of their minds. Because the policies really shouldn't even be controversial. This is about legal immigration, zero tolerance for illegal immigration, energy dominance, not depending on other countries for oil, putting the parents and local communities in charge of their kids' education, having peace and stability around the world versus having potentially World War III at every corner of the globe. This isn't even close. Yeah. This is why last night it was a repudiation of the Republican Party of the past, the party that thought that it was better to appease Democrats than actually appease their voters.
So, Bernie, tell me about yourself. Why did you decide to do this? How's your soul?
Well, I came to the U.S. as a kid. I moved to the United States when I was just about 5 years old from Colombia, South America. Became a citizen the first opportunity I could. The greatest gift my parents gave me was bringing me to this country. I was able to get to Ohio about 20 years ago, about a small, tiny little business, built it into a great business. This country gave me all the opportunities on earth that I could ever have dreamed about. And this is about making certain that we preserve that ability to do whatever you set your mind out to, no matter who you are or the circumstances of your birth, the color of your skin, whatever your background is. You can do anything in America if you work hard enough. That's what the left hates. They want government dependency. They want to tell us how to live our lives. They have this paternalistic view of governing, and that's what we're going to repudiate. And the American people are sick and tired of career politicians that care more about themselves and their career than actually helping this country.
So, Bernie, I want to. I don't know if you're a religious person at all, but James Lindsay. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's an atheist, and I was talking to him last time we sat down together. I guess maybe a year ago, and I said, "I need your help, James, because I'm looking at what's happening in our country, and I look at what's happening in Washington." And because it is preaching, you can't do it. There is no, salvation. It's all collective salvation. They're beating people down. They're separating us, by color. I can't think of another word other than evil. And he said, yeah, I think that's the only word that it could be applied at this scale. Have you ever encountered real evil? Because you're about to if you go to Washington.
Oh, I encountered it in my own primary. The darkest forces in this country collude. The cabal is real, something I never would have thought of as a business person before I get into politics. This group of far-left extremists that control the Democrat Party with spineless Republicans combined with a media that absolutely does their bidding to fight anybody who goes against their vision of this country. But to answer your original question, Glenn, this country does not exist without God. It does not. This nation was founded on a principle that our rights come from somebody above government, which is the Almighty. If we don't believe that, then we have to believe that our rights come from some government official, which is the whole cornerstone of what our democratic republic is all about.
So what are the things that compelled you to get in? What are the things, and who are the people that you will partner with in the Senate that you think these guys get it? I am on that team.
I look at J.D. Vance, great friend of mine. Going to be a great partner with him. We're going to have a great delegation here in Ohio. People like Mike Lee, Bill Hagerty, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Roger Marshall, Tommy Tuberville. The conservatives are going to band together in the United States Senate come 2025, and we're going to do something novel, Glenn. We're actually going to put in the agenda that every Republican campaigns on. Every Republican campaigns on the same issue sets. It's just that some of them forget why they got to Washington, D.C. and who they're accountable to, and we're going to change that next year. By the time July 4th of 2026 comes around, Glenn, we're going to have our country back. We're going to celebrate the fact that this country's going to be better for our kids and grandkids because the best years of this country are ahead of us, not behind us. But it just takes all of us to lean in and save this country, which is what we're going to do.
So when people say that, you're a conservative, or you're, as they say about you, I think you're a MAGA fighter. They do everything they can, Christian nationalists, to make us look like crazy people. And, some people, I guess, maybe are on the right or the left. I know they exist. But I am a constitutional conservative that is a Christian. I fight for the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. And I will fight against anybody, and I think I have a pretty clear record on this, anyone, left or right, friend or foe, if you start to violate the Bill of Rights and our Constitution. Would you stand against, just for the people that maybe are afraid of Donald Trump because he's such a crazy man, would you stand against Donald Trump if he was trying to do things that were unconstitutional?
Of course, but he doesn't. The person who tries to do things that are unconstitutional is the current occupant of the White House. But you're exactly right. The duty that every elected official has is to uphold the Constitution as written. This is a document that really was something that you put a time and place where these men were in one place, one geography, in a certain time and place. And it's an amazing document. You look at the Declaration of Independence, it lays out the mission statement of the country. I was in the auto business, so I call the Constitution the owner's manual. We need to look at the owner's manual to understand how to operate the country. But we're not doing that, though. We're not doing that. We're doing the exact opposite. I'll tell you a story real quick that you'll really appreciate. I was down in Meigs County, one of the poorest counties in Ohio. A gentleman there happened to be a truck driver, raised his hand at one of our sessions with me and my opponents. And he said, what does Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution say? That's a question from a truck driver in Meigs County, Ohio. Because what he knew was that we're not following that, which is that all legislative powers are to be held in Congress of the United States. He knows that. How many elected officials know that? Because we're not following that simple idea.
Now, I've heard from everybody who has gone to Congress or the Senate that I respect. They all say almost every politician here pays lip service to the Constitution and the Declaration, but the only time that it is ever truly discussed or taken into consideration is when there's a voter around. They'll talk a good game, but they don't really care about it at all. And, it's funny that you said, our mission is clearly stated in the Declaration. I call that, it's clear. That's our mission statement. And you're exactly right. I call the Constitution our owner's manual. That's our how-to book. And of course, men never read a manual. So maybe we should, concentrate on that a little bit, because everything that is happening that is wrong with the country and putting us on the wrong track is the fact that we are violating not only the Constitution on the way things are supposed to be done. Congress needs to take its power back, but also an out-of-control administrative state and a violation of almost every single right in the Bill of Rights, almost every day. Nobody's quartering horses or troops in my house yet, but I could make a case that Google is.
No, you're exactly right, and it's fascinating to me to watch these I call them job-seeking career politicians, because I think that's also what my election showed, is a repudiation of that. I think our founders understood instinctively that government will eventually, without restraint, have tyranny over its people just by its very nature. And so they understood the way to fix that is you send people who've done something outside of government, go there to serve, and then most importantly, come home. That last part is critical. Come home. We were never intended in this country to have a political class. We were intended to have a citizen-led legislature where the government is small. We have decentralized power, because the bigger we the people are, the smaller government is. But we've almost gotten to the point where government is in charge of every aspect of our lives, and we have to fight that back. And I think there's a movement, Glenn, in this country that really understands that, and we're going to get our country back.
Yeah. Bernie, thank you. Great talking to you. Congratulations again on a huge victory in Ohio last night. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Glenn.